So they say never meet your grails. Today we're taking a look at a grail watch of mine. It is the Arnold & Son Globetrotter. I really love the brand Arnold & Son in general. I think they make some really high quality watches with some quirky complications. A lot of their watches feature deadbeat seconds and other odd complications that you don't see very often. Today we're taking a look at the Globetrotter, so that means you're getting a giant globe within the dial of this watch. It has a huge domed sapphire crystal as well. A very odd watch, something that MB&F would have done. However, it's a lot cheaper than an MB&F, but with that being said, it's still a pretty expensive watch. So let's flip the camera and take a look at the Arnold & Son Globetrotter in steel blue. Arnold & Son, one of those brands that I think do not get enough coverage. They make some incredible watches, but a lot of people aren't paying attention to them for some reason. I have no idea why. A lot of their watches are very complicated. They make some true beats, or at least they call them true beats. They're basically deadbeat seconds. They make a chronograph version that I think is incredible. I'll throw up a picture of that watch. This is the Globetrotter. This Globetrotter was actually lent into the channel by exquisitetimepieces.com. I will put a link to this watch down below. Definitely check them out. They have a brick and mortar store down in Naples, Florida, and they have their authorized dealer for many, many brands. One of them is Arnold & Son. So if you are interested in this watch, definitely check out the link down below. Tell them Watch Chris sent you. So this is a Globetrotter, as I mentioned. It's the steel blue. So you see that dial, the bottom portion of the dial is in blue. It's a blue fume. It's sort of light blue towards the center, dark blue towards the outer portion of the dial, and then the inner portion of the dial is a globe. That's where you get the name Globetrotter. And that globe is actually a hand-painted globe, and it's covered with a clear lacquer. However, the way that they actually get the different layers on this globe is they use acid. So they basically mark off the continents and then use acid to create the oceans. So this has different layers to it as well. There is polishing, and then there's bead blasting. The bead blasting actually represents mountain ranges on the dial. It's really very, very cool. And then it has another trick up its sleeve, the lume. There's actually lume on the globe. You can see the oceans near the continents where it gets shallow. It gets a little bit bluer, so it's a little bit lighter blue than the rest of the oceans. That is actually lume, and it gives an outline to the continents when the lume is charged. It looks gorgeous. It's really exciting. I can't wait to show it to you guys. We'll do a lume shot towards the end of the video. Then you have a sapphire disc. That is a 24-hour ring. You have hands here. The hands are sort of hidden. There is a little red arrow for the minutes and a little red arrow for the hours. You can see those right there, and they are sort of transparent, which is kind of cool. However, they're just sort of tucked under or just peeking out of that globe. And then you have a bridge that goes across the globe right there, and it looks like, you know, it's like a hemisphere, I guess. And then you have a little jewel in the top of that holding in. There's actually, this screws in, that globe screws directly into the movement. So that's how that works. And this is beautifully finished. You have some screws on here with some black polish. Everything has a beautiful polished edge on it. So everything has a really nice finishing, even on that bridge. And then of course, when you flip it over, it has a beautiful movement, and it's made by Lume, I believe. So I believe because Arnold & Son are part of the Citizen Group, Lume make their movements. All of the edges on this movement are chamfered and polished, and you have a beautiful rotor on here with a beautiful texture. And there's sort of a spiraling, I guess you would call it, Côte de Genève. Beautiful movement, and it is darkened, so it looks kind of modern, which I really like as well. Turning it on its side, you can see the case almost looks like an alien spaceship. You have these really turned down lugs, and then the case sort of telescopes towards the back of the case. Really looks cool, and you have this very, very domed sapphire crystal, big crown with the Arnold & Son logo. Just a gorgeous watch. Very quickly, let's do some measurements. So this measures around 45 millimeters at the case. So when you grab it at the edges of the case, it's around 44.8 millimeters. It's a thick watch, so you're getting around a 17.5, somewhere in that neighborhood. Thickness, so it's 17.7 millimeters. That's including the very, very domed sapphire crystal, so that kind of makes sense. You have a giant crown of 7.3 millimeters. The lug to lug is in the neighborhood of 50 millimeters, and that's because you do have a large watch here. I mean, you're going to get a pretty big lug to lug of 50.4, which is not incredibly bad when you consider the size of this watch. Next, I would like to show you this watch on my wrist, then we will talk about price. So talking about watches with tons of detail today, I have a watch that has an incredible amount of detail on the dial. This is my Key to Lee in titanium with a sapphire dial. It is one of my favorite watches that I have ever owned, and it's a really special watch from Vacheron. You don't see a lot of these. And I've seen prices sort of skyrocket on these recently. I think a lot of people will want to get their hands on these. So very quickly, I will throw the Arnold Sun on my wrist. Well, there you go. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. This does wear pretty well considering the size of this watch and the fact that it has such a domed sapphire crystal. You have a really nice alligator strap on here in blue. It has sort of large squares on it, and it is in a matte finish or a semi-matte finish. And then you have a really nice buckle on here, which is sort of a bespoke buckle for Arnold & Son. Just a gorgeous watch. Yes, it does wear like a 44 millimeter watch, maybe even a 45 millimeter watch. It looks big because obviously you have a very thin bezel on here. There's a lot of dial real estate, so it does wear large. So price on here, there's really no getting around it. This costs $21,400. It's a lot of money, but you are getting basically a piece of art for your wrist. This is hand painted. A lot of work goes into this watch. Obviously, that crystal alone is pretty crazy. When you look at it on its side, it looks like Deep Space Nine. It looks like a spaceship. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. It is a beautiful watch, so it is very expensive. There's a lume. I mean, there's not a ton of lume on that dial, but it looks so cool. The outline of each of the continents is in lume. So basically those shallow areas where it was a little bit bluer than the rest of the dark blue sea, that is in lume, and then the hands are lumed as well. It does fade pretty quickly, unfortunately, but overall, I think it looks so cool. I just wish it was a little bit brighter and it lasted a little bit longer. That's my only complaint. Otherwise, lume is pretty awesome on here. So now I'm going to ask my 3 questions. Starting with question number 1, is this watch ugly? I really have a hard time answering this question. However, for me, I really don't think this is an ugly watch. I think it's a super interesting watch. I think some people might find it ugly, maybe a little bit busy, but in my opinion, this is not an ugly watch. Question number 2, is it cool? And I was giving a scale the other day from Hublot to MB&F. I think this is closer to MB&F, obviously, because I've actually mentioned MB&F in comparison to this watch. So definitely, I think this is cool. I don't think it's an MB&F, but it's like MB&F light. You're paying $21,000 versus $50,000 or $90,000, depending on the watch we're talking about from MB&F. So this is more affordable, but you're getting a lot of the look. I definitely think this is a cool watch. It's not as cool as an MB&F, so I would say it's probably in the 7 to 8 range on the cool scale of 1 to 10. And the last question, is it worth the money? Now that's a very hard question to answer as well. However, I think it's worth the money if you have the money. This is a very expensive watch, and it is a very outlandish watch as well. However, it's not as expensive as other watches that have similar looks, so I guess it's worth the money, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think down in the comments below. Arnold & Son are a brand that I want to have on the channel more often. I think they are gorgeous. I think they make some really incredible watches, and obviously this is one of them. And there are a few that I really, really love that I would love to own one day, including this watch. I think they make some pretty incredible watches that, again, not enough people are talking about. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog. Also, don't forget to check out the link down in the description. That is to exquisitemepieces.com, located in Naples, Florida. They have lent me this watch into the channel. If you are interested in this watch, definitely check out their website. They have tons of watches and they are some really great people over there, so check them out. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I will catch you in the next video.